Welcome to Weekly Recap. I am your host, Vivian Kabono. This is the show that brings you a recap of what has been happening in this week, locally and internationally. This show is brought to you by NewsunplugKE. Kindly subscribe, like, share, and comment. Stay tuned. I hope your week was good, and so was mine. Into our first story, what has been trending, there has been this beauty queen case, murder case, that happened in 2015. So the beauty queen is called Ruth Cande, who was convicted in 2015 after stabbing her boyfriend Farid 25 stabs. So the stabs were on the arm, on the chest, all over the body, and she was convicted. And during the trial is actually when she won this title, the Miss Langata. People call her beauty because she's actually a beauty one. And according to when the case was going on, her defense was that it was through self-defense, or it was a self-defense mechanism, but the judge refused because 25 stabs are actually much. So the judge said that it was a death sentence, that she was supposed to serve a death sentence, which is actually the reason which has been bringing up different, because death sentences, as you know, or death sentences are supposed, if you're given a death sentence, you're supposed to be killed almost immediately or later. And the last death sentence that happened, or the last murder case, okay, let me put it this way. So after a death sentence, there's a hangman who serves. The last hangman to exist was actually in Kamiti Maximum Prison. He died in 2009, and the last people to be hanged in Kenya was in 1987. Two Kenya or Air Force officials who were jailed because of treason. They had tried to overthrow the late President Moi, and it didn't go well. So that was in 1982. So the question that is happening is, if people are given a death sentence, who will carry out this job? Why is the hangman? Kwa sababu ukipatiwa hiyo death sentence unafaa kunyongwa. Kwa hivyo nani anafanya hii kazi? Now, in 2016, the former president Uhuru Kenyatta had allowed people he changed 102 death sentences to be lifetime serving sentences, and also released some of the lifetime convicts in the jail, according to the constitution. In the mercy, like there's this thing called mercy, where you can have mercy on these people as long as they have changed. So okay, the Ruth has been allowed to do to go to the Supreme Court, and they will listen to the case again. Now, this story is closely related to a certain university saga that happened, where a boyfriend was living with a girlfriend, and they had a quarrel, and the boyfriend banned the lady, and the lady even came and said that people should come through for her to help her settle the bill. So the question is, why are there very many cases of murder and brutality in relationships? A relationship is something that happens because people love each other. So why are there people killing each other? Kindly tell us in the comment section, why do you think people actually kill people they love or hurt people they love? Tell us in the comment section, dear viewer. Now, I'm actually excited because I am a cultural person. I love culture, and this week our president William Samoei Ruto inaugurated an event at Turkana. It is called Tobong'u Lore. I hope I got my name right. Tobong'u Lore event that happens in Turkana to celebrate the Turkana culture. And during the event, he was actually in the Turkana attire. He looked good with the headgear, with the rungu, with all the sheets, with the Akala's shoes on his feet, and even the Maasai shanga. The Turkana and those plain Nilot communities, they usually have shangas. And he also had a fimbo. As you know, the Maasai community and then Nilotes community, they work a lot with the fimbles, which they even use when they are performing their cultural songs and everything. So he looked good. And what's even more interesting is that the women of Turkana prepared some porridge for him. So photos were taken with him taking porridge from the calabash and with a muiko. And after that, he got to interact with the Turkana women and talk to them and, interact. So it feels good. Can you imagine what will you do if you were given a moment with the president? Just tell him about yourself. That would feel good, right? And during the event, he also said that this Turkana event will be happening regularly, and it will also open Turkana to the tourism sector. Also, there is this science park that they are planning to launch, which was from the Liki, who was a scientist into the archaeology field. So they are actually investing 800 million into that project, which is anticipated to be finished within 15 months. So this is actually a very good move, because opening Turkana to Kenya is a beautiful country, and when we open and appreciate our culture, if we appreciate ourselves, then other people will appreciate us, right? That's the rule. If you appreciate yourself, other people will appreciate you. So that was a very, very good initiative, and I'm happy for that move. Hey, I hope you've not forgotten about the Shakahola thing. So this Shakahola thing seems like it is not leaving our face anytime soon. Now, as we know, the chief suspect, or the main suspect, Mackenzie, is still in bado ako huko ndani, bado ako ameshikwa. So they decided now that we are not communicating and we're not preaching, we're not doing crusades, we're not having those Sunday services. You remember the letter of Paul? Paulo na Sila. So they decided that now we will use letters, because remember, you are allowed to, you have a right of communication, and you also have a right for information. So actually the judge said that in one of the sessions, he said that they are using the power or the right of information to pass wrong information to their followers. Now, this is what has been happening. There was a letter that was found where they are convicted, which has been going around, and it is actually spreading the same extreme belief of fasting until you die, and that's the only way of meeting Yesu. Jamani, wa Kristo, mbona tuko hivi? Lakini, okay, fasting is something so good that connects you to your maker, to your creator. But even in the Bible, God himself fed Elijah. If he wanted to meet him, but God himself fed them. God himself fed the Israelites with manna. And why will you fast until you die so that you can meet Jesus? And yet the person who is telling you to fast, has he himself fasted to death? No, we should really learn not to be brainwashed. And I am glad that this letter was found. Even the Shanzu officer said that letter should be sent to him in a sealed format, so that, and the letter was actually taken to the DCI so that they can find the author and know who is responsible for this extreme belief propaganda that they are spreading. So I hope that they will be, the case will be finalized, because honestly, there are lots of people who have died because of this. Anyway, now we are closing. We are before we go for a short break. Now there is this. The Kenya Airways, flying to the outside world. So there has been an aeroplane that happened. It happened this week on Thursday. Yes, on Thursday, where KQ-100 airplane was flying from Nairobi. It was supposed to land at London Heathrow Airport, but allegedly there were some bomb squads which were seen when they were heading to the airplane where it had been parked, and it raised security threats. So the plane diverted from its route and it landed at Stansted Airport. The plane started its journey at 9:18 a.m. on Thursday from Nairobi after a 13 minutes delay, and it landed safely. And the police from the government officials from Kenya and the United Kingdom were checking into the issue and saying there was a bomb squad around. So I hope, but they landed safely. So thank God nothing bad happened. Also, on the same case, there was also a Kenyan plane that also landed in Heathrow, London, after it made an emergency landing after a passenger in the plane had an emergency and he fell ill. So the pilot made an emergency landing and he was taken care of. So that has been happening around, but I'm glad that there was no bomb that was set on the plane, which will actually raise concerns so much. It will even affect the people coming in and going, because you can imagine traveling on a plane and you hear that the plane that you are using or the same company, another plane had a bomb in it. So I'm glad that nothing bad happened. Anyway, dear viewer, we will take a short break and we will be right back, so stay tuned. Welcome back and thank you for staying tuned. Moving on to our next story. According to LSK, the Nairobi branch, Brian MWENDWA, who has been an advocate of the High Court, as he was claiming, is actually not a lawyer. This has actually brought a lot of controversy because Brian, who has been serving in the High Court, has won 26 cases out of 35. And allegedly, he's a fake lawyer who has not gone through the process, the theory part and the training of becoming a lawyer. Now, this actually brings a question. Just like they say, some say that leaders are made, some say that leaders are born. So does that mean that lawyers are also born? Because how do you win 26 cases against, or what about these people or these lawyers who are won? Or who lost to Brian? What about them? They're qualified lawyers. So how do you tell me that a person who has never stepped into class can win these cases? Okay, anyway, so also according to Kusum, Brian is actually a second-year student of Chuka University pursuing criminology. Okay, criminology and law are not very zinapelekana, so labda fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. But this raises a question. I mean, he did the work, right? He did the work. And even Kenyans, Kenyans are jokers. And some are even addressing him as micros from the movie on Netflix. So if a crime is a crime, or if you're doing a crime to do good, does that justify the crime? Probably I steal from the rich and give to the poor. I will be a hero to the poor, but the rich will view me as a thief. So does doing crime, does crime which leads to goodness justify the crime? Anyway, kindly tell us, do you think we should cut some slack for Brian and just let him, probably take him back to school and let him continue with his dream? Because this is moving on to our next story, which is crossing over. Now, South Korea has spotted Kenya as one of their allies as they're looking for votes to host the 2030 Expo. This Expo happens across, it brings countries together globally, and actually South Korea is competing with Italy and Saudi Arabia to host this expo that happens after every 5 years. So the last one that happened in Dubai, and they really want to host this in the coastal city, like the ports which takes care of the export and the import. So they want to host this show and open up themselves to the outside world. So with a meeting with our president, the vice president, the leader, the South African leader, said that they are very open. And Kenya, especially Mombasa, they have spotted Mombasa. Mombasa is also a port where we deal with imports and exports, and it's the second largest city in Kenya. Kenya. So Nairobi is also doing so well business in terms of business. Also, the leader said that South Korea, being a country that also was poor once or depended on other countries in terms of education, development, agriculture. So they can actually act as a good role model to us developing countries, because we can see their journey evolving from a developing country to a developed country. So they're saying that Kenya already has given their vote and they support them to host this 2030 Vision 2030 event, and they're hoping that they will get as many African votes as possible. So all the best to the Expo and Kenya to the world. Let's spread this gospel of spreading Kenya to the world. Now, thank you for being tuned, and we are moving to our last news of the day, which is international news. I know you know about the Israeli and Hamas war, which has been happening, and at times I really wonder, in fact, in this war, not to criticize it, not to support it, but people have raised some questions. As you can see, there is a lot of money that has been invested in this war. So, is it possible that these people actually have money for guns and ammunition and weapons, but do not have money to feed their people? A food for thought. So the Israeli have called upon the United States to evacuate 1.1 million Palestinians living in Gaza. The US on their side have said that this move is very impossible and cannot happen in such a short time. So this war has actually been happening, and the Israeli are saying that this will not end until the Palestinians or the Hamas release the people who have been abducted in Gaza. So very many people have died, people have injuries, children, people have been left homeless in this war. And even the North Korea sometime or just this week said that they denied the claims that they have helped Israeli in the war after a certain ammunition was spotted and it was allegedly produced from or manufactured in North Korea. So this war continues to happen, though the American embassy or the American people are saying the US is not going anywhere and they are very much together with the Israelis. So I don't know which side to take, but honestly, this I don't feel like war should really happen. We saw what happened in First World War, Second World War, and whether it is indirectly or directly, this war affects us. Like, for example, the Israeli have closed all their borders. That means that they're not getting supply of food, fuel, so the people are the ones who are actually getting hurt. So I just hope that this war will end as soon as possible, because even as Africans, when they fight there, we get affected directly or indirectly. On this note, I will be drawing the curtains for the show on this day. Thank you so much for being tuned. Kindly subscribe, like, share, comment on our page, NewsunplugKE. My name is Vivian Kabono, and you can follow me across all social media platforms at Vivicabs. Thank you.